I should have known, Seth, that you would be the first one to contact somebody and try to get a head start there. I can't.
I'm
There
I'm
you
highly motivated right now.
go. Yeah. He's really not supposed to contact you before. I mean, to set up a meeting before Friday, but I don't think one day will make that much difference.
I know that you know Dr. Elam, and I also know that may or may not be super responsive between now and Friday.
Yeah, I think he will be.
Okay.
And there's Shannon. How are you, Shannon?
I'm good. How are you?
Living the dream,
Yeah, me too.
she says with a laugh. But at least you're not taking 5 classes this semester, right?
No, I learned moving to this position last year. There's no feasible way to do that.
Yeah. I did have another student do that. Took 5 classes in one semester.
No, it was not a good life choice.
Yeah, that was crazy.
No,
Yeah, I think for most people, 2 classes a semester is enough.
it is.
How are things down in Franklin? Right,
But Franklin's where I'm from. I work in Franklin County.
where's Franklin County?
The Ohio line, east side, Brookville.
I still have no idea. What's it? Is
Yeah.
it close to any city of size?
Richmond probably is the
Oh,
closest.
okay. All right,
We're south of Richmond.
gotcha.
But it takes me 2 hours to get to and from work right now because of construction.
Oh my word,
One way. It's pretty terrible there too.
that's wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would probably be considering looking 4 hours a day on the road. Whew.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Jag, his picture's all professional. Look at him go.
I know. I saw he's all dressed up with a suit and everything.
It's
Sometimes
that new position.
you gotta fake it till you make it.
That's it.
You're faking it well, Jagga.
See, that's actually not such a bad concept because um, psychologist William James back in the 1800s said that the best way to be happy is to act happy. So I guess that's like the fake it till you make it, you know. Trying to keep track of everybody that's planning to attend tonight. Mr. Sykes, how are you today?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Outstanding. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
Probably won't be that many more of these.
No.
See, see Stephen there? How you doing, Stephen?
Pretty good. How are you?
As I told Shannon earlier, just living the dream. Which is kind of scary because this is the dream. And all right, it is after 4 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. And we are recording this, so this will all be saved just in case you ever need to see it again. Though I don't know that you will. And so let me clear out a few things here and then share the screen, and I'll bring some things on to here for you to look at. And I think at this point, you all know each other, I'm guessing, or pretty close anyway. Some of you have not met some of our faculty who are here. So I'm going to ask, for just for the sake of everyone knowing who you're talking to or asking questions of, I'll start with Seth and have you introduce yourself and tell us where you work and what you do, and then we'll kind of go through. I'll just call you out and have you tell us. So go ahead, Seth.
Seth Slater, Assistant Superintendent, Whitley County Consolidated Schools, EDD comps.
All right, Shannon.
I am Shannon New. I'm the Assistant Superintendent at Franklin County Community Schools, and I am doing my EDS comps.
Stephen.
Hi, I'm Steven. I'm an assistant professor of special ed at St. Joseph's College in Maine, and I'm doing my DS comps.
And Stephen, I'm going to introduce you to Erica because you guys live very close. Erica, go ahead.
Hi, Erica Matzo, Assistant Superintendent RSU 5 and in Maine and EDS comps.
All right. Jim.
Jim Seitz, principal at John Adams High School in South Bend. Actually started my 12th year as principal here. And I am doing my EDS comps.
All right. Jen. Jen Yoder. Jen can't hear me. Hello, Jen. All right, we'll move on to Jonathan. We'll come back to Jen.
Hi, Jonathan Winslow, MSD of Steuben County in Angola, Indiana, Director of Elementary, and working on my EDS comps.
All right. Jaga.
Jagger Rent, principal at North Central High School, working on my EDD comps.
All right. Courtney.
Good afternoon, Courtney Flukas, Unified Student Supports Officer, Indianapolis Public Schools, EDS comps.
And Jessica Beeler.
I'm Jessica. I'm the Director of Residential Education and Exceptional Needs at Basher Children's Home in Goshen, Indiana, and I'm doing my EDS comps.
And I think that's it for students. And Dr. Salome, I know you don't have the camera on, but can you just say a word?
Hi, everyone. This is Serena. I'm so sorry. I'm like driving home. We have kind of a crazy day. Just want to say a good luck to everybody as you're embarking on comps. This is it's a pretty pivotal and important moment in the process, and I'll be anxious to hear how it goes for all of you and get your feedback and all that good stuff. And for those of you who are doing EDD comps, and for those of whom I'm sharing, let's definitely make sure we connect after this just to make sure everyone's on the same page about what is going on. And Dr. S will talk more about that.
All right. Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, hello. Just wanted to give a shout out to those of you that are in my ID 705 section. I see some of you in here, so good to see you. And I have gone through this once. This is my second year, so I'm getting the hang of it, and hopefully can provide guidance to you if you have questions for me in particular if you are in my section, and we can talk about that. But I have a feeling Dr. Schaefer is going to cover everything you could ever possibly want to know.
Probably more than you would ever want to know, but And Dr. Coleman.
Thank you for that. Good evening. I wanted to just offer this as someone who has been through both EDS and EDD comps at Ball State. I want to tell you that these are wonderful experiences that are designed to shape your leadership. And you're in great hands, and best of luck.
All right. Did I miss anybody? I had Jen Yoder on there, but I think she must have gone off. She may be coming back. At any rate, here's what we're going to do to kind of give you an idea for tonight. I'm going to go through the schedule of the comps, and you should be able to see that now. Let me get. I have one of these massive big screens, so I can't always tell if you can see the same thing that I can see. But you should be able to see the timeline now. Somebody nod their head if that's correct. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So for the fall, and this is where we are right now, the Zoom meeting is today. The writing period starts on Friday and it lasts for 1 month. So you will get sometime probably in the wee early hours of the morning on Friday, September 5th, the what you are going to be doing, and this is for the EDS people, for the doctoral, those of you who are taking doctoral comps, your advisor, and you just got an email about that today, your dissertation chair, you need to reach out to them and they will work with you to determine exactly what you're going to be writing about and how you will do that. But I will also you should have also received from me EDD comps guidelines, and we'll talk about that again in a few, just a few more minutes. So then within a couple days after you submit these, and I will tell you ahead of time that because we have a very tight timeline on this, where I am asking that everybody make sure that you get your comps turned in by Sunday, October 5th by 11:59 p.m. And then I will get those out to the teachers. It gives them about 2 weeks to grade your comps. Then what you will get back from them is a couple of different things. And so we'll talk about the rubrics in just a few minutes, but you will get a rubric, which is designed to show you the things that you've covered on the comps. And then you will also get overall comments from those who grade. In the EDS program, you will have 3 people who grade, and provided you have a 4th person to your committee by the time the end of this is up for EDD people, then you will have 4 people. But we typically don't ask your at-large person on your committee to grade comps, but they will very likely view your responses and attend the oral comps meeting. We'll talk more about that. The oral comps take place on October 27th and 28th. So the first thing a lot of people want to know is, well, when? I need to know when. Well, that's going to be kind of a juggling act, and it's a lot of fun. And we try to run 2 at a time. So it's kind of one of those pieces where I kind of mix people around and try to get the people where they're supposed to be at the right times and signed up to meet with you. So that will take place sometime on October 27th and 28th. And I hope that all of you will do your absolute best to keep some time slots free on those days. You will not have comps on both days because you only have to go through this once, which is quite enough. And some of you, honestly, the oral comps, I think, is the most fun part of this. Word to the wise, and that is the more that the better the input you give on your written comps, the less painful the oral comps will be. Because if you do a great job, and we'll talk exactly in just a few minutes about what you will be doing, if you do a great job on your written comps and you get high scores from all of those who are grading them, then there will not be a whole lot for them to talk to you about except, you know, what do you plan to do with your life and what are you thinking about for your dissertation and things like that. So I would encourage you take the writing part seriously and make it one of your best writing efforts to date. Now, let me change a few things here. And we're going to start with EDS comps get guidelines. All right. Now, there's a whole lot here, and we are not going to go through every bit of this just because I am not that mean to you. And I think you are all capable of reading this, but let me just kind of bring some highlights out to you. The comps, the way that we do the comps are probably different than what many departments do. And we are required by the university for, because you have an EDS, you're getting an EDS, to give a comprehensive exam. And what we have found is that one of the best ways to test your knowledge is not to ask you one question after another and say, you know, do this rote memory or to do this and write as much as you can about this particular topic. But you will be given a case study, and that's what you will be receiving early in the morning on Friday. And this case study has been picked um, so that it covers a lot of the things that you would have the responsibility for doing as a superintendent. So you will be reading this case study. First thing that I would suggest to you is read it all the way through, highlight it if you need to, bring out the important parts, write notes to yourself on the thing, whatever it takes. But then what you will be doing then is writing a response to this case study. So as we come down right here to the written exam part, it says, oh, you know, the things that you always see. Written exam must meet APA 7th conventions. All right. The last thing anybody in this group should ever get is any points taken off for the APA style. All of you know that. You've been exposed to it. And you have approximately 3,000 to 3,500 words. Now, for some of you, I know that yeah, I know who's laughing there, Shannon. Um, some of you will have a difficult time stopping at 3,500 words. However, you don't want to have points removed because you exceeded the number of points or the number of words. So it's 10 to 15 pages. Use Times New Roman. And please do not send it to me as a Google document. Okay. I hope everybody heard that. The reason is because most of the time when people send in Google Docs, um, the permissions don't work like you think they're going to. And so we end up with sending these out to the professors who are going to be grading it, and they can't access it. So, and you won't know who they are anyway. So don't do a Google Doc. It needs to be a Word document. And that way, when you send it to me, it would be very easy for me to send it on to them. And what you're going to do is you're going to summarize the case. That's what it starts with. Then interpret any data that you see that's part of the case. Provide a brief review of literature. And then you're going to make a research-based recommendation to the board. Oh, it's what you do. You already do this. So this is very practical. It's very up to date with what you're doing right now. And then you're going to include in that your plan of action, which emphasizes learning and instruction, which is NELP Standard 4. And you'll get to go into that. And I would say, just as a word to the wise, when you are quoting, when you're doing something that you can specifically tie to NELP Standard 4, put in the parentheses NELP 4.1. And it's up to you if you want to use a shorter version of that 4.1 and put it in there, because we have access to the NELP standards. Also, you don't have to spell that out. I know in your internships often you have to spell out the NELP standard. You don't really have to do that now, but do put, tell us that you've used it. And that helps us to support the fact that you have responded to these specific things about each of the NELP substandards that go along with NELP 4 and 5. So standard 5 is part of the plan of action when you're talking about community and external leadership. And trust me, this particular case study that you're going to see, you will not have difficulty aligning it with standard 4 and standard 5. Then you're going to answer two other very important questions. What are the legal implications you might face? And then what about finance and budget? And be specific. What are the resources you're going to need to pay to do this initiative that you're suggesting, this plan of action? And is there anything you might run into that could prove to be a legal issue? Why do you want to do that? Because you want to think this way. It's how you think in your everyday lives and your work. So this is pretty natural to you. Now, guidance on this. Make sure there are concrete details. It is not a plan of action if it doesn't have concrete details. You can't say, well, we're going to, work out all this stuff. Tell me what stuff you're working out. Okay? Consult multiple sources. Now, here we go. This is good because this is what I want you to know. This is different from anything that you've done before. It is not a group project. All right? Can I emphasize that again? It is not a group project. So no matter how much you trust the wisdom and intelligence of your classmates that you have been in class with and your people that you're friends with, you can talk with them. In fact, if you all want to get together and talk about it, that's fine with me. But you all have to produce a unique, distinctive document. So you will do that. You can talk to your leaders of your district, people that you have worked with. If you have somebody that you consider to be a mentor to you, ask them how they would handle it. Talk to your superintendent if you work for a superintendent. And then if I were you, I would also say, now let's find out what are the best things that have been written about this particular piece of this case study. Trust me, you will not have a difficult time finding sources on the case study that you're going to be examining. And then write it down. You have to turn in a very complete written paper. It should go without saying that you should not have any misspelled words. You should not have any grammar mistakes. You guys are working on either an EDS or a doctorate, so those things should be absolute definites. I shouldn't even have to remind you, but I do just because that's the teacher in me saying, make sure you have everything spelled correctly, use your words correctly, etc. All right, that's the written part. And remember what I said before. So let me ask you, are there any questions about the written part? Hearing none. Okay, we'll move on to the oral exam. And as long as you pass the written part, did you catch that part? As long as you pass the written part, and let me put your mind at ease. I think we've never failed more than 50% of the students who've taken it at once. No, I actually cannot remember. I think there might have been a student who failed, and this is my 11th year of doing this. So I honestly cannot remember a single student who has failed. But that does not mean take it, like it's not serious. So we will schedule for you a 1 hour oral exam, and then what you will do is prepare a 10 to 15 minute presentation. Most people do a PowerPoint. The reason for doing that you will be given, in response to the grading that is done, specific things that you might need to give us more clarity on. Those are the things that you will focus upon. So tell a little bit of the story. You don't have to rehash the case study because we will have all read it as well. But what you're going to do is talk just briefly about what it is. Remember, you only have 10 to 15 minutes. And, sometimes we're just getting warmed up in that time. So what you want to do is make sure that you address every single one of the issues, if there are issues, in regard to your written exam. Now, this says the oral exam can take place in person or via video conference. They're all going to be by Zoom. It used to be that we would have these in person, and so you'd have to take off a day and drive to campus and all that kind of stuff. And for some of you, that'd be a very long drive. So you don't have to do that. It's all done by Zoom, and then you will have to clarify those written responses, expand on your answers, and then be prepared to respond to any other questions that people want to ask you. Okay, questions? Here is the rubric. This looks familiar to you because you've seen this in various forms many times. And you have choice of 3 levels of scores: approaching, meets, or exceeds. And it is for each of the elements of NELP Standard 4, each of the elements of NELP Standard 5, and no surprise, additional comps expectations. Candidate will succinctly summarize the case, explicitly identifying the problem of practice. Candidate analyzes and interprets data. Candidate provides a relevant, on-topic, seminal pieces explicitly searched for recent literature review. How's that for a good combination of adjectives? And then candidate provides an action plan that addresses both financial and legal implications. And finally, candidate meets APA conventions. And this says word limit 5,000. We're not, sorry, that will be corrected. It is 3,500 like it says initially. So do not go to 5,000, Shannon, just because you saw 5,000 there. 3,500 is what you want to stick with. Okay? Everybody all right on the EDS? All right, let me pull up then the EDD comps guidelines, and they're just a little bit different. And I know, raise your hand again for those of you who are taking the EDD comps. Seth and Jaga, okay.
We're on a 5-day already.
And Stephanie, okay. All right, so the EDD comps are just a little bit different, and that is, we'll skip right down here to the written exam. The student, in conjunction with your advisor, will develop a question to which the student will respond. So if I were you, in fact, I know Seth has already contacted the dissertation chair. And so I would recommend that even this evening, if you have time, fire off an email to your dissertation chair. You should have gotten an email today which told you who your dissertation chair is going to be. And so you will work with them to cover an area of potential study for your dissertation. So yes, it does have the possibility of going along with what you're studying. And the question should be broad enough that you demonstrate understanding of the field of study and you can make connection to your coursework. So as you get down in here, you will see you're going to make deep, emphasize that word, deep connections to at least one research course. That would be typically 750 or 751, or those of you who are taking Ed High 660, you haven't had a whole lot of time in there yet. So I would suggest probably using one of the others. 798, which is your one policy course. 797 is not taught anymore. And at least one additional course, which can be 685, which is finance and budget, 687, special ed law, 698, theory, 792, which is the superintendent's course that you're currently taking, or some of you are taking now. And again, use precise language, quote theories, quote research, things that you've learned from those courses. Provide a rationale for study in the area, provide a sensible and accurate research methods plan with citations, that's important. And then in one paragraph, students should, and this is kind of important, so let me highlight this. In one paragraph, students should describe an alternate approach to investigating their research questions from a different research paradigm. That's that's kind of a, well, if I didn't go this way, then I might go this way. And you must demonstrate knowledge of relevant literature for the topic. Now, here we go. The written exam must meet APA conventions, no big surprise there. And the exam should be 20 to 25 pages with a maximum of 6,000 words, which excludes the references. And I will tell you for the EDS people, the 3,500, your references do not count on that either. So you finish that part. Any questions on the written part of the EDD? I know I'm not that good explaining things. Are you just petrified? No, can't be. Okay. The oral exam happens much like the EDS exam does. So after your written exam is finished, it will be graded. And the one difference between the EDD and the EDS is that you EDD people will know who is grading your exam beforehand. And they will know whose paper they are grading. For the EDS, the professors grade it blind. Now, not making any corny jokes here. It just means that they don't know who you are when they're grading it. They will have a number, but they will not know whose paper they are grading. So,
Hey, Dr. Schaefer,
yes,
is the timeline still the same for EDD? It's a month as well.
Yes. The writing period is the same from September 5th to October 5th. And that's why it's very beneficial to you to get in touch with your dissertation chair tomorrow or Friday, definitely, so that you can hash this out and get it ready and get started. And then they will grade your written exam. And then the same thing happens. Here is the rubric for the EDD. And you should have a copy of this already. And again, it's pretty easy to understand. Candidate posed compelling questions. Candidate provided rationale for study. Candidate provided literature review. Candidate made course connections. Candidate proposed sensible and accurate research methods plan. Met APA conventions and the writing quality. And so you see that there's a possible score for you of 51. And for both the EDS and the EDD, you will get not only this rubric, which will have some basic overall comments on it from each of the professors who are grading it, but that you will get your original paper back. And each of them will have made comments on that paper, especially if there are things that they want you, because we want you to know specifically what you need to clear up if there's anything that's not clear, if there's anything that you need to work on that should be different or better. And then once again, in your oral comps, you're going to address specifically the topic. And so you're going to be looking at, let me come back to your EDD guidelines again. The oral exam, you have a 1.5 hour oral exam. And again, that depends on how thoroughly you have done the job in the writing of the first. You will prepare a 10 to 15 minute presentation, almost as what you would do for your proposal defense, to highlight your thinking so far. It will be by Zoom, and you will be asked clarifying questions, and then you're expected to respond to feedback. Now, that all makes great sense. What happens if you pass one part but don't pass the other part? Here's what happens here. Look at this line right here. The majority of the committee members must score the written exam a pass in order to proceed to the orals. Now, again, it's very rare for us to see that happen, that a majority don't pass, consider it a pass. If the student fails the exam, the committee will meet to discuss how to move forward. If the student fails the exam, the doctoral committee may develop a plan to remediate needed skills that may include taking additional coursework or retaking some courses. And then the program director, that's me, will send written notification of the outcome to the student and to the dean of the graduate school. And this is a key understanding for the EDD. A failed comprehensive exam may be repeated only one time. The student must wait a minimum of 1 semester before repeating the exam. The committee who administered the first exam also administers the retest. All right. The student who fails to pass the second exam is ineligible to continue and will be dismissed from the doctoral program. I know that sounds like really harsh, and it is serious, but all of you are serious students, so I don't think that's going to have to be a concern. So, questions that you have for me, and if I can't answer them, Dr. Salome is still listening in to help.
For the EDS, so we have like a 10 to 15 minute presentation, and then the rest of the hour is Q&A.
Yes.
Okay, are other
yeah.
students in the room, or is
No,
it?
no.
Okay.
It is only you with your committee.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you will not be doing this in front of any other students.
Thank you.
And what often happens, honestly, we tell you to prepare a 10 to 15 minute presentation, but as long as you're comfortable with it, if people have questions, they may stop you and say, now, can you explain this a little bit more? And of course, if that happens, it's going to take more than 10 to 15 minutes, but that's just so that you don't prepare something that it takes 45 minutes to present. 10 to 15 minutes, and that way there's plenty of time for discussion back and forth. Any other questions? Just a bit of ancient history so that you can appreciate this process. They did not used to be like this. The written exams were a combination of questions from all of the courses that you have taken at Ball State, and you had to answer every single one. Then the people who taught those classes asked you questions and clarified. This guy sitting in front of you right here, when I took this in 2002, I started studying in February to take we offered exams in June then. I studied for 2 hours every night and 8 to 10 hours every Saturday. I had a big stack of 4x6 note cards where I wrote down everything that I thought they could possibly ever ask. And then we came in and wrote for 3 days straight, typed for 3 days straight. We got rid of that because that's an awful lot of pressure, and you don't need that. So this process, I think, is a lot more sensible, and we hope it will be one that you will actually enjoy. So, any other last questions that you have? I'm happy to report to you that no one has ever died in the process of taking these exams before. That's some consolation.
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Sure.
One thing I just want to add, this is in particular for the EDD, but folks have been working all summer in 792 and then are already well on their way in 705 in terms of dealing a proposal. So one thing you'll want to think about with your chair is how much you'll be leaning on existing work versus is this an opportunity for something new that you want to add, and perhaps this is an opportunity to kind of make that happen. So as a quick example, I had a student a few years ago that was very interested in collective efficacy and how that led to teacher retention. So she spent her whole summer researching collective efficacy, did a great job with it. And then she hadn't spent as much time on the retention piece. So she actually used her comps as an opportunity to further that work. So that's something you might want to think about, right? Like you can absolutely use what you've already done in existing courses, right? All of this is feeding towards the same thing. The ultimate goal is the dissertation. So we don't want this to be something that feels like extraneous or adjacent. Like this should be something that feeds directly back into the dissertation. But it also can be this chance to maybe put a little bit of pressure on yourself to do something that you would probably do anyways. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there for you.
Yeah, so now's a great time to be looking at what are the areas of your dissertation as you've gotten started on it that need beefing up, or you need to be spending some more time researching, and go for it. Use it well. Any other comments or questions? And I know that you guys all know how to get in touch with me. So you are very welcome to reach out if there's something that doesn't make sense. If you're in the doctoral program comps right now, please reach out to your dissertation chair, which will either be Dr. Elam or Dr. Salome, and they will answer your questions and take you in the right direction. EDS people, reach out to me, and we will go from here. Any final questions, comments, thoughts, concerns? Stephanie, thank you. Yes, this is I thought it was appropriate to have the background of Hogwarts since we're doing your exams. There won't be any of those flying games. Hate to disappoint you. All right, if that's it, I think we'll let you go. And outstanding turnout tonight. Thank you very much for showing up, and we will see you and hear from you very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Nice job. That was great.
Kind of quick, kind of ran through everything quickly, but that's all right.
You did great. It was great. Well done.